good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, everyone, everywhere, depending on where and when you are joining us here. Well, we are in the last month. This is the first day of the last month of this year. Wow, what a roller coaster ride this year has been, and it has gone so quickly. Oh, and I pray that the next four go by very, very quickly as well. But nevertheless, stew is our own interpretation. We have STEM, we have STREAM, but Africa Online has stew. That is science, uh, social media, technology, that is social media, telecommunications and transportation, energy and electricity, and water. And this is what we're going to be talking about this month throughout December. And maybe we'll get to talk about some holiday stuff as well. But stew. And this is the weather to be making a nice stew. I ran out after church to run to the store and didn't wear a coat and wish I had, because it's feeling like January outside in my neck of the woods. What's it feeling like in yours? So we're going to move right on and go into our uh, editorial with my co-host, Professor Niasan. As I said, it's pretty chilly up here in Philly. Chilly in Philly. What's it looking like in your neck of the woods down there?
Same. Chilly in the mid-40s, and it's been really bad since morning. Had to bundle up very well to go to church this morning, but thank God it's not snowing. It's just chilly. Yes.
Yes,
In
no
my
snow is a
neighborhood,
good thing.
yeah. Thank you. And so to say, as Ambassador Lisa said, it is the last month of the year. Its name is December. It is the 12th and last month, as we already said, on both the Gregorian and the Julian calendars. And December's name originates from the Latin word decem, meaning 10, because it was originally the 10th month in the old Roman calendar. When the Roman Senate reformed the calendar in 153 BCE, January and February were introduced, pushing December to become the 12th month. Today, it remains the last month of the year, and we are told, symbolizing both endings and new beginnings. Yes, December, endings and beginnings. Today, Sunday, December 1st, is the 336th day of the year 2024. There are 30 days left in this year 2024, just 30. You know, it's 366 in this leap year. December 1st is, among many other things, also a day that celebrates various themes and causes, such as eating a red apple, go out and get one if you can, supporting women, rather better support women, especially the one beside you, raising awareness of AIDS, because today is International AIDS Day, and enjoying pies, lights, and various candy cookies. I'm talking about lights. My entire neighborhood was lit last night. I went driving to a meeting, and I realized that almost every house except mine had lights. Now the lighting season. December, with a duration of 31 days, is not only the final month of the year, it also marks the beginning of winter and is filled with important observances or observations such as Christmas and New Year's Eve, which are the most well-known holidays in many parts of the world. December is also rich with many other significant cultural and religious events, such as the first Sunday of Advent, which was today for many Christians, a time of spiritual preparation, mostly for Christians, that is, building up to Christmas, which is coming up on the 25th. From history, we are able to say that on this day in 1955, some of us know that day because we studied in history or because we lived it, we were born already. Rosa Parks, a civil rights icon, refused to give up her bus seat rather, to a white man in Montgomery, Alabama. This sparked the Montgomery bus boycott and led to the civil rights movement in the United States. Rosa Parks Day, that is, honors civil rights leader Rosa Parks and is a state observance in Alabama and as a local observance in Ohio, commemorating Rosa Parks' pivotal role in the civil rights movement. Are you a sky watcher? Then look out tonight, no matter how cold it is, for the new moon. It's always glorious for me to see the new moon. I always say, well, when I was a child, my dad always said, if you tell me, if you see me, if you see the new moon and you let me know, I will reward you with something. And it used to be a penny in those days, the British penny that we used in those days. As mentioned earlier, it is World AIDS Day. First recognized in 1988, World AIDS Day falls on December 1 each year. World AIDS Day is dedicated to spreading awareness of the AIDS pandemic made worse by the spread of HIV infection, and to mourning those who have died of that disease, AIDS. An estimated 40 million people worldwide have died of AIDS since 1981, and an estimated 37 million people are living with HIV/AIDS, making it one of the most important global public health issues in recorded history. Despite recent improvements in the treatment, the AIDS pandemic or epidemic still claims an estimated 2 million lives each year, of which more than 250,000 are children. Going to the continent, today, Republic Day is celebrated in the Central African Republic, abbreviated CAR, every year on December 1 to commemorate the anniversary of the Central African Republic becoming an autonomous territory within the French community back in 1958. The Central African Republic was granted independence by France on this day, although the region was still and is still part of the French African Empire. It is a public holiday for the general public of Central Africa, where schools and businesses are closed. Finally, we should note that December brings us the December solstice on December 21st. That solstice marks the shortest day in the Northern Hemisphere, that is where we live, and the longest day in the Southern Hemisphere. Looking ahead, we wish to remind ourselves that tomorrow, Monday, December 2nd, is Cyber Monday, a major online shopping event that follows Black Friday, which passed 2 days ago, with retailers offering significant deals on electronic goods and other items. Do you know what the price was yesterday before tomorrow, Cyber Day? You never know, because it could be the same price that they're just offering you and making you think that it's something new.
Yes.
That is followed by Giving Tuesday on Tuesday, the 3rd of December, which reminds us of a global movement for generosity where individuals, organizations, and communities come together to support causes and make a positive impact. Do you do that? Participate, please, Giving Tuesday. With these holidays and observances, December is a time for celebration, a time for reflection, and a time for cultural appreciation as we prepare for the new year. To do that, Africa Online Media Corporation thought that because the month has 5 Sundays, we should look at one of its in-house acronyms, as many in the United States love acronyms, call them abbreviations. But not all acronyms are the same. Africa Online Media Corporation's acronym today is STEW, either ESTE or STTEW, for social media, telecommunication and transportation, energy, electricity, and water. You heard Ambassador Lisa say that. So, social media today, one can safely say, are double-edged swords with their good, bad, and ugly faces.
Yes.
In the hands of adults in the room, social media can inform, educate, entertain, and distract. But in the hands of toddlers, they can be veritable weapons of misinformation, spewing out fake news, destabilizing social tranquility, and causing untold harm. Some use social media to intimidate, to blackmail, to spread hate, to provoke, and set communities ablaze. On the other hand, proponents and avid users say social media bring positive changes, affect mindsets, and instill hope. So let us focus on that S in our Africa Online Media Corporation's acronym, which stands for, as we said, social media. Are these, that is, social media as a plural, are these a worthwhile communication tool or an outright distraction? Social media are the front and center of all human activity today in the 21st century. What quickly comes to mind is how are social media affecting you or yours? Have they caused you to slip and fall into a ditch or walked into a pool of water or simply bumped into another person and or an object in the street as you walk, blindly attending to your cell phone? Are they, the social media, like that cat or draft game a lazy father played all day and ignored shouts of fire, fire, when in fact it was his house that had caught on fire? We can confidently say that social media are the greatest social distraction of the 21st century, offering unpaid for services for babysitting, providing such useful services as educators who offer your children a curriculum you would like or you would live to regret letting them feed it to your children, causing such discord in homes and acting as disruptors of family discussion, hence killers of famous kitchen table discussions or family time. In fact, gone are the days, in Africa especially, we emphasize, when the family or the village, children, parents, and grandparents gathered either in the big house or under the baobab tree in the courtyard as the sun slowly set to discuss family and or village palaver or listen to village history handed down orally by storytellers or griots. In most places on the continent of Africa these days, village gatherings are just for socialization and not for sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly about the village culture, the village traditions, and the communal ventures. But what are these social media? You must be scratching your head and wondering. Margaret Rouse says, quote, social media are the collective of online communications channels dedicated to community-based input, interaction, content sharing, and collaboration, end of quote. Wikipedia, that free encyclopedia, adds, social media are computer-mediated technologies that facilitate the creation and sharing of information, ideas, career interests, and other forms of expression through virtual communities and networks. Whatever definition we give here to social media, no matter how we look at social media, one thing remains clear. Social media are the result of technological advancement, creating tools that make Canadian media mind Marshall McLuhan. His concept becomes, of course, the concept of global village. It becomes real because, in fact, the world has become a global village. But that global village has resulted in so much happening for good or for bad, to the benefit of humanity or to its disadvantage. We therefore invite all of you out there to join us on Africa Online Media Corporation to share your thoughts, propose positive ways of using social media while maintaining our traditional ways of life, and help addicts and or potential addicts to show moderation as they resort to social media either as a therapy, a distraction, and or a definitive solution to their problems. Are social media a worthwhile communication tool or an outright distraction? Are social media a double-edged sword in the hands of toddlers in the African continent or useful tools that the adults in the continent should use for the common good? Should social media be used as weapons of mass deception, weapons of mass intimidation, weapons of blackmail, or instruments for setting ablaze communities and countries? Or should social media be avenues for enriched discussion? Such discussion as enlightens, effects positive change, changes mindsets, and instills hope. Welcome to Africa Online Media Corporation. As we look into social media, you use them every day, they're everywhere, and of course, are they beneficial to you as an individual or as a member of a community? Welcome to Africa Online Media Corporation. Ambassador Lisa, please, over to you. Let me take a breath.
Yes, thank you, Leah Sung. I think that was an extra long editorial.
Yes.
So we want to welcome everybody here that is watching us via Facebook or YouTube watching the replay, we hope that this social media conversation will be of benefit to you. So, what exactly is social media? It's an interactive technology that facilitates creation and sharing content among virtual communities. Now, prior to, let's say, way before our time, uh, social media actually is only 27 years old. It was born in 1997 or created in 1997, or at least it was released to the public. Let me say that because I'm pretty sure they were using social media long before 1997. It just was not brought to the public. I'm a very big Star Trek fan. Been watching Star Trek since its inception, since I was a child. And when I watch it now, which I still do, I noticed that they're using computers, they've got the telecommunicators, and all the things that we are using now. They had laptops back then. So I'm believing that social media was existing long before 1997. It just was released to the public. And since it's been released near some, it seems like it has taken on a life of itself. It's not AI, but social media has taken on a life of itself. It seems like no one actually controls it, and it just does whatever it wants to do. When people feed it the wrong information, as you said, sometimes it's used for the good, sometimes it's used for bad. But what I like about it is that it has brought together countries and nations and people, where it would take me 2.5 months to send a letter to Africa or a package to Africa. I now can send a text message or an email, and bam, it's there in a matter of a few minutes. So it has improved communication, which I like. But some of the things that are done with social media I don't like you said, the blackmailing, the holding hostages of hospitals, and now I've not heard of that actually in the natural yet, but when I watch television, they're showing, somebody has hacked the government or they've hacked the hospital, and they're holding all the equipment because we've all become so accustomed to using technology. I have few friends who still have landlines, and I actually wish I had kept mine, because I think we're gonna, in a very short time, we're gonna be bust right back to the Stone Age and gonna wish we had those landlines and those typewriters and the ability to write a letter. People don't even do that anymore. I do. I just ran out to the store to get a couple birthday cards because I'm very, very old fashioned in a lot of ways. You got to kick me. You got to pull me kicking and screaming to go into this new era. But some things that we used to do, we still need to maintain, which is courtesy, things like writing thank you cards. I love it. I love thank you cards. I got a couple birthday gifts. I have to write my thank you cards and send out. So, social media, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, as I was saying, social media was born in 1997, but the roots of it trace back much further, as I said earlier, earlier than 1997. So, how has social media been used? Actually, I also found this fact near song. It says social media has a long history with its roots in Morse code. Now, I thought that was very interesting because that was a form of communication where people were not talking. They were sending messages over a wire with the dots and the dashes. So that was a form of communication that they deem as social media. Uh, that just was not as big as it was. So everything takes baby steps before it grows. So the Morse code uh, was basically its infancy, social media's infancy. So we are blessed to have two of our contributors with us today. That's Deborah and Dr. Gloria, and we're hoping that they're online so we can have this little conversation about social media. If you are there and you can come on, we would love to see your lovely faces as we have this discussion on social media. We wouldn't even be able to do this if we didn't have social media. This is one of the good things, as I said. Even when Sister Deborah is back home in Cameroon, or Dr. Gloria is down in Virginia, we can still come together and we can have a conversation in real time because of social media. Dr. Gloria, welcome to the show. She actually,
Just on.
she's in outer space. floating around here and there.
No, I'm not floating around. Actually, I'm very intentional. Thanks for the opportunity. Good to see everybody.
Good to
I'm
see
Good
back
to
from,
see you.
thank you. I'm back from Mississippi and I just left dancing for the YC Titans game. So I'm excited.
We didn't get that. You blacked out.
Oh,
Say it again.
oh, as far as social media goes, I have posted the Washington Commanders Tennessee Titans start of the game. I just left from there. I was one of the dancers. And before that, I just got back from Mississippi competing in the Miss Senior World pageant.
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations. Yeah, it was the part about the dancing that we missed. You said I just got back
Yeah.
from dancing and then your voice went out. So we didn't know where you just got back from dancing.
Yeah, the Washington Commanders Tennessee Titans game.
Okay, so because of social media, you're now able to share your dancing and what happened at the game with people all around the world as opposed to just the people there in the stadium.
Correct. Yeah. So the ladies were all excited and they're like, "Oh, we're in Doug Williams' suite now." And so I posted a picture of Doug Williams and myself and NFL great Ken Harvey. So it was nice seeing the Tennessee Titans on the football field and actually running around. So yeah, I posted it on Facebook, on social media.
Now, you said you were one of the dancers. Were you a dancer like the cheerleaders?
Yeah, I took pictures with them as well. So for a 65-year-old woman that I am, I was able to hang out with the 4-year-olds who were dancing. And they were all excited and thanked me for inviting them. And they also used social media to get the word out, to invite their family members to come out to the game and watch them dance.
Okay. And that again, we're talking about the good of social media. Dr. Gloria just shared some events that she's just finished with and was able to share it and post it. And now people all around the world will be able to know what Dr. Gloria is doing at the game as opposed to just the people in her neighborhood or just those who came to visit. So we want to be able to use social media as a weapon of mass good, not mass destruction, mass good.
No.
Dr. Gloria, when I said you were bouncing around, it's because I see you have that look like outer space picture as your background, and you keep appearing upside down, you're appearing sideways. So it looked like you were doing one of those James Kirk when he was lost in space trying to get back to the ship.
Yeah. So,
So,
yeah.
social media. How
Yeah,
have
I
you?
also, can you guys hear me? So I also use social media to post pictures of the Empire Strikes Back star, which is Billy D. Williams in Star Wars. I know that's different from Star Trek,
Yes.
but I don't know anybody from Star Wars, but I know someone from Star Trek. I know someone from Star Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
And when my son was in the 4th grade when Star Wars came out, the Empire Strikes Back, and we would sit there and he would have his lightsaber, and I would just love Billy D. Williams as Luke, not Luke Skywalker, but whoever he was his dad. It unfolded. But anyways, I told my son, I said, I am going to meet that man one day. And my son knows me, and he knew I was telling the truth. And that was probably 50 years ago. I know I'm telling my age, but that's how it was older than the internet. It was Star Wars was out way before social media as
Yes.
we know it. The military had it, but not regular people. So I am excited for the future of social media. Thank you.
Okay. She's excited for this. And like I said, there's good and there's bad. And as long as we're using it for good, that's something that we can be excited. I'm excited I can use social media to be in touch with my kids in Africa. And it doesn't take them, waiting to go buy a car, to load it up, to have money to buy a car. They can just send me an instant message. Mom, we need money. Mom, we need food. And then I can get money right to them now that they, I can send money right to their bank accounts. No longer do they have to wait to the bank to open up, go to the bank, get it. It goes right to their phone. So social media has its goods, and I'm loving the goods that they are having. And yes.
Yeah, I had one quick question for Dr. Gloria before she goes away. I know
Sure.
she's not going anywhere. Yeah, Dr. Gloria, what is some negative thing that social media has done to you?
Oh, for me, I'm glad you asked that question because I don't feel like I'm an expert at social media. And so I suffer from a little anxiety, social media anxiety as a normal person because I don't know if other people, because it's not two ways. So it's just like me giving information and then I have to wait, for information back. So it's not like communicative in a sense to being in real time. So yeah, that is one of the drawbacks for me is just not being an expert and being patient and just suffering social media anxiety. And there should be some kind of help for that, some type of therapy.
Yes, personally, I've been hacked once at least this year. So that is my greatest inconvenience, to be hacked, and then you lose everything, and then you end up rebuilding from zero, from scratch. It's not comfort, it's not good at all. So that is one of the inconveniences I've had with social media. Reverend?
That was a good question. How has social media
Affected you negatively?
Affected us negatively?
Yes.
I like that question because we're talking about the good, and we always want to face or focus on what's good about things, but we need to be well balanced, and we need to know also what is not as good. I know you didn't ask me the question, but I'm going to share the answer.
Sure.
And it's not really affected me negatively, other than my son is encouraging me, who is a little bit older than social media. So he knows life before social media and he knows social media. And as a journalist, he's very big on the AI now. And I keep trying to get him to write a press release for me, or, all the things that I was doing before he came along. Now he just does it so well. But Chris, can you write me a press release for this event? Mom, go to social media. Mom, go to AI. And I'm terrified of AI. I'm terrified of robots. I saw that movie I, Robot, and I've not been right since with Will Smith, and the robots came alive and took over. That's why I don't want no parts of it. So that's where it has affected me negatively. Society is growing and moving on, just like we just had this pandemic. And the world shut down and everybody had to stay at home. So now children had to be homeschooled using the laptops and things. But had we not have had that technology already, I don't know what our kids would have done for school. So I'm not as quick to run and keep up with the latest social media, AI, all these technologies that are going on. But social media has changed our world dramatically, almost overnight. It was not like it was a gradual change. This was almost an overnight sensation. We went from landlines and dial tones and phones in the house that were hung on the wall to now they're in our pockets, and they're in our pocketbooks, and they're so small. And now we've got the cameras. And the thing I don't like about the cameras or the technology in the camera is that they now can make pictures or things disappear out of your pictures. So I don't know how that's going to abode when you take a picture of a crime scene and somebody can get it and delete people out of it, and now you don't know who was actually there. So those are some of the drawbacks to some technology and social media that will not advance the good of social media in our lives. Nia-san.
Yes, indeed. Social media is a friend, it's an enemy. It is what we make it to be. Some people use it for good, others use it for bad, but then we should all aspire to make it for good for everybody so that together we can build a better world because it create more understanding. I know you mentioned the fact that you send emails and text me, but what I'm missing in my day and age now is the fact that I no longer write letters. I no longer make, I no longer write letters. I no longer send those postcards. But once in a while, you send a text message or you send some picture or some emoji, as they call it. I learned from my children that they call them emojis. I said, well, okay, whatever it is, but those are not what comes from inside me. I prefer to craft my own message and send to the person in a text message.
Yes, I still write letters. I still have cards and stamps and letter writing paper, and because I still believe that, you know, in the midst of all the bills that we get delivered to our home, those number 10 white envelopes, I believe that every once in a while you should find something in your mail that has an orange card or a yellow envelope. Or so I make sure that when I buy cards, I'm buying cards that have nice bright envelopes, so that it's just a change of pace from getting those things in the mail. So
I see Debbie is on. If we can
Debbie
ask.
there?
Yeah, Debbie is there. Let's see if you can unmute. Yeah, Debbie, welcome to the show. We're talking social media. When you travel the world, how much social media do you use? And have you had any inconveniences with it? Debbie, go.
Thank you so much, Ni Elson. Happy first Sunday of Advent for those who observe it. Ni, you had an awesome editorial today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Wow, this is a very, very challenging topic because it has so many pros and cons. And from my experience, just going through my brain from all the gadgets that I've had to use, from manual typewriter to electric typewriter to IBM typewriters, electrics, and whatever the numbers were, to computers, and now the computers are our phones. It's just amazing how technology has evolved. And I realized, well, it's not just the equipment that we use, it's also the functions. For example, I just sent out a message for my non-for-profit asking for Giving Tuesday on Facebook. I only had 9 responses or people who even viewed it. But on my, they call it updates on WhatsApp, I had in less than 10 minutes, I had 76 views. So that's the difference between the type of social media that you use and the responses you get from them. So the positive aspect of it is just so incredible. And that's just with one of them. And this, as Your Excellency was talking about, there's something called, about journalists, there's something called ChatGPT. If I'm getting lazy and I do not want to write a speech, I just put highlights of what I want. ChatGPT will give it to me. And if I say refine it, shorten it, or lengthen it, and blah, 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 ChatGPT gives it back to me. So what do I think about that? The negative side, in my observation, is that it does not make you think. It is your, it's not your choice of words. It's artificial intelligence telling you what to say. But do you really mean those things that artificial intelligence fed you with through that program? I don't know. So it's up to individuals to determine that. And the way kids talk nowadays is changing communication as well. Just the weekend before Thanksgiving, my kid who was unable to come home was telling me, oh, we're having a Friendsgiving celebration. Friendsgiving. I said, wait a minute. Thursday is Thanksgiving. I said, oh, no, Mom, that's your era. We have now. And so what am I missing? So I wrote the word. I said, is this what you mean? She actually said, yes. I said, this is what it's called. So everything is changing in communication based on what is trendy and in the next decade, it will be something else.
Yes. Yep.
And there's no way to know what will be coming up in 2025. By 2030, God bless us, we're all around. We'll revisit this recording today, and we're going to see definitely something different.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is
that's
the
right.
old news, definitely. You know,
Yeah.
Friendsgiving is, you know, for those people who don't have family, don't have any place to go, so their friends get together. And it's usually not celebrated on Thanksgiving. It's usually like the weekend after. But yeah, Friendsgiving has become something of a new term. We're going to be rewriting, or they're going to be rewriting the dictionary. And when they're going to look at the old dictionary and see what in the world, all these new terms and new words. So, you know, one of the other bad things about social media, or one of the negative things about social media, is that with all our young people being on it and no longer writing, you know, I don't know how long ago it was, I don't remember, but when they stopped teaching our children how to cursive write, so now they just know how to print, or they know how to write in that text, that texting language. I understand that a lot of votes were thrown out. The mail-in ballots were thrown out because the people did not know how to write their name. They didn't know how to cursive write a signature. Printing, it says print and then a signature. And when they don't know how to do a signature, those votes were counted, not counted. And that's very discouraging that the world has changed, social media has changed, but some things still remain the same. So that's one negative thing about social media, because our children are no longer encouraged to write and learn how to cursive, at least not in school. I mean, what you do at home is one thing, but the school system itself is not teaching that. So as I was looking up some things about social media, I discovered, now I don't know who here had MySpace. I had a MySpace page. I don't think MySpace lasted very long for some reason, but Facebook is the largest social media platform in the entire world. It has 2.4 billion users. That was in 2019. In 2019, there were 2.4 billion users. And the other platforms like YouTube and WhatsApp, they have over 1 billion users as well. These are huge numbers compared to how many people are actually in the world. According to some of the statistics, I found that there are 7.7 billion people worldwide, with at least 3.5 billion online. That's 3.5 billion people who do not write, do not know how to write any longer, do not know how to spell, because they're using their shorthand languages. They're using, and I use a shorthand language. I started it not because of social media. I started it when I was teaching. And I was telling my students, you know, I'm not going to keep repeating myself, and I'm not going to talk slow. I've got a certain amount of time to get a certain amount of information to you. So I began to create a shorthand for them to use, the number 2 for the word two, the letter B for the word B. So, but I still know how to read. I still know how to spell, and I still know how to use those correct words. Our children today are not going to know how to do those things. And I definitely believe that we're going to be, as I said earlier, thrown back to the Stone Ages, where we're going to have to know how to do those things. So we need to begin to train our children and teach them how to speak, how to write, and encourage them to write letters. I have a pen pal program that I'm trying to kick off between a school in South Carolina, and my school in Nigeria. I'm trying to get them together to write letters, to, you know, just write out a letter, a postcard, and we can begin to restore some things that should not have gone away because social media has come on the scene.
So what do we do? Our schools are not teaching handwriting anymore. Our schools are not insisting on children knowing how to spell words. So what do we do? How do we save the world?
Well, it starts with parents at home. Everything starts with our parents at home. We cannot depend on the school system to do everything for us. some things our children should be learning at home. And now it seems like the basic things that our children should have learned in school, first grade, second grade, how to write, how to cursive, since they're not doing it, we're going to have to take it back and teach them those things at home. So that's one way we can go back. We can encourage them. I still send my little nephews cards in the mail, which they have to read. I try to not sign my name to make it easy for them, but let them know that this is the proper thing to do. This is etiquette. Etiquette should not go away because of social media. You know, things that are proper should not disappear because social media is on the platform, has arrived. Courtesy, writing thank you cards when you receive a gift is still proper. And these things we have to begin to share if we want to see a turnaround in our communities, if we want to see a turnaround among our young people, so that, as Sister Deborah said, by 2030, we won't be looking at totally whatever we did when we were growing up being totally annihilated. And I think we can do that.
So what are other disadvantages of social media apart from these failures in our schools where they're no longer teaching our children cursive writing and all the other writing? What are some other disadvantages of social media?
Well, I think some of the other disadvantages, as you said earlier, the ability to blackmail and hold hostage people's information. People's total life is online. You shop online, your medical history and things are online. All those things are online to be hacked. And your medical history can be turned around. Somebody can go in and change your blood type. And when you go to the hospital for an emergency, they'll give you the wrong blood because someone's gone into the computer. Now, I like old cars. I own a 1997, 1999, 1998, actually. I love it. These new cars, these newfangled cars with this electronics that can be hacked. I see too many TV shows. I love CSI Miami and shows like that. And the cars are being hacked. Someone's hacking into them from the VIN and the license plate, and they're taking control of your car, causing cars to crash. I don't want no parts of that. So social media and that kind of technology is not good for me. It doesn't cause me anxiety. It's just not good for me. So these are the things that where social media is not very good for society because they have the ability to be hacked and taken control of and then hold your hostage, your information, can empty your bank account without you even knowing it. You're next thing you know, you're getting all these bounce checks. So those are some of the things where social media is not working in our favor, and we want to be very careful of some of those things.
Dr. Crossland, what are some of the things we can do to help social serve us better than it is serving us now?
A disadvantage of social media for me is when I read someone's post and I don't want to, I want to respond, but I don't respond because they obviously have a mental health issue and they need mental health care. And it's not polite to tell someone they need help. And I found that to be true because it would bother me. There's this one lady, and just like Prophetess Lisa just said, Ambassador Lisa just said, some people, they post information on Facebook that's private and they shouldn't be posting it. And then I want to reach out and help them. And I'm not a mental health professional. And so it would bother me enough to where I would share it with someone else, like I'm sharing it with you all right now. And people would say, wow, that person does need mental health therapy. So that's one of the drawbacks that I've experienced as wanting to help people, but I can't because, I'm not a mental health expert. But I think the solution to that would be for social media like Facebook to provide mental health counselors and offer online social media help, because some people get, so that's a privacy issue, a mental health issue wrapped up all in one. That's twofold, and with a solution. Some people get addicted to social media. So how do we know if we're addicted? Because everybody's usage might be different. Like if someone, not me, because I don't work, I'm retired, but if someone is using social media and they're supposed to be working, then they may be addicted. So I don't know. These are really all good questions that will require more in-depth research and assessment and surveys. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Crosland. Yes,
Dr. Crosland, when you was talking about people who need help, they're on social media. They are, and I don't know if this is a drawback. Well, it's a good and a bad, I believe, because they feel I'm hidden behind a computer. No one really knows me. So I can pour out my heart. And sometimes they use that as a therapy. I've seen some people are sharing some very personal things. Some people are going through. Some people are suicidal. And she said, Dr. Crosland thinks that Facebook should provide counselors. But what I see it from another standpoint, I see it when I read something of that nature, it gives me a prayer assignment. It gives me, and I share it with other intercessors so we can pray for this person. So sometimes people are putting information out, and prayerfully, people who should be understanding and should be grabbing a hold are praying and doing something about it. And then again, on the other hand, people are putting too much of their business out. The one thing I don't like about is when people post real time where they're at, when they're away from their homes, we're on vacation in another country, because now that tells them that your home is empty, you're not there, and then they can go and rob you. I don't post pictures of myself in real time at all. I would love to, very seldom, if I'm like real downtown or if I'm very close to home. But if I'm out of the country or away on vacation, I will never post those pictures until I'm back home. So that's one of the drawbacks, because people are so excited to tell everything about their life that they just spill everything, and they think that they're behind the safety of their computer and that no one can get to them. So that's one of the drawbacks, because you're not really that safe not with all the hackers who are hacking into our Facebook and all those things and sending messages for money, all these things like that. So when they can do it that easy, that just shows that it's really kind of easy to do. So we need to be mindful and careful of telling too much of your personal business. People in the hospital, taking pictures in the hospital. I'm getting ready to go for surgery, all those kind of things. I mean, tell people you need a prayer request, but you don't have to be up there, laid up there and taking your pictures in your gown and showing everybody that you're there. That's telling them, again, you're not at home. You're probably going to be away for a while. You need to be mindful of what you're putting out on social media, because you're telling too much of your private information. So that's where social media has become a drawback and a setback for a lot of people.
Yeah, let's turn once more to Debbie. Maybe just witness some disadvantages or better advantages of social media. What are the inconveniences of social media that you've come across? Have you bumped into a pole or walked into a pool of water because you were on your cell phone?
Neat, thank you. I like that cell phone, what it's done to us. Well, my experience is regarding culture and tradition. Growing up, we did a lot of things under moonlight, a lot of songs, storytelling, and passing down of ritual rites from those of us who grew up in the villages. It was told under the baobab tree in the center of the compound. And when the wind blew those down, we went into where there was full moonlight. Everyone sits out there and shares those stories. And then we learn new songs and dancing, and all that continued. Now, it eventually was phased off, and electricity replaced all of that. So all those songs, you cannot sing them during the day because some of them meant some things. Now they started doing them during the day, but now with social media, what is being done is they try to do some of it on using WhatsApp, so that various groups in different parts of the world in diaspora are practicing it, and they put it in social media. But the people nowadays who were not part of what used to happen, they just see what's going on now, they misuse it. They will take it and then they put different topics of what actually happened as to what is happening. So it's being misinterpreted, and misinformation is being sent out as to the actual tradition happening in real life. And that is something which is very, very negative, because it's creating a lot of chaos. And the reason why it was shared through the social media was to educate the generation now that did not know about it, so they can learn about what used to happen and understand better when they talk about certain things. And most of their songs or the things that they talk about is in the dialect. And of course, the new kids nowadays, social media has killed everything. They can no longer speak the dialect. And those of us who can, we try to train, teach, and educate. It gets into one ear and out, because social media again kills it. They're trying to tell you, oh, can you translate it? No, not every. How many languages just in Cameroon? How many languages do they have? There's absolutely practically no way to be able to get that to be translated by ChatGPT or any software out there that is meant for translation. It's easy to put a Western European language for translation, or some of the high-end African nation languages for translation. But those are some of the negative things that we're experiencing: losing the culture, losing the language, and losing the practices that used to happen. And no one is writing them down. There's no documentation where you can pick one tradition and say, I want to see where they originated from. You have a million versions of it. And you don't know which one to consider accurate. So that's a problem that I think social media has brought, and I don't know how it will ever be rectified, because the scholars that we do have that grow up in the country, most of them, they get just shipped out, and the ones that remain behind do not have resources to be able to document these things on a long-term basis. They may be documented on pieces of paper, but there's no way to archive them. So these are some of the things that I realize may never be realized in that part of the world. Thank you so much, Nick.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Lisa, please.
Well, I'm just still reeling from what Sister Debbie said about the traditions of culture, how they're not going to be archived, our stories. It's bad enough that here in America, we're treated like our history started once we arrived here in that ship. But we have a history that goes far, far, much further back in Africa. And if we don't know that history today in our age, our children certainly won't know that history unless we well, you already said that there are 50 million translations of a story and you don't know which one to know is true. But I do believe that we do need to begin to archive. For those of us who have history like that, and you can start documenting your stories and passing it down to your family. So at least it lives on in the family and the family will know, because we do not want our history as far back as Africa to disappear. It's going to be needed. It's going to be vital to who we are, who we're becoming. So we need to begin to, I'm calling on all those storytellers. Where are you? Don't just use social media to send your pictures of your Thanksgiving dinner. Get on there and begin to tell the stories of old so that we can at least have them somewhere. That probably should have been my last word, but it's not.
We're not yet there, but we'll be there soon. So Dr. Crossley and Debbie will be ending the program early. So we'll be ending at 5 o'clock. So let's take the round of the table. Ambassador Lisa, I didn't ask you your opinion on that. Should we take the round of the table now?
Then I think we can take the round of the table.
Then you'll close us with the anthem?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. So, Dr. Croston, please, your last word on this program, social media inconveniences and conveniences, and how best should we use it?
Okay, great question. So one good thing about social media is it's 24/7, 365, sometimes 364 days a year. It never stops. And one drawback I can think of is the pictures of food when they pop up, because I'm on a diet. It'll make me think, okay, I need to get something to eat. One other drawback is I thought something was on sale and I made a whole lot of purchases. And, when I realized, okay, that was such a great bargain, it was probably a scam. And I researched it like within 5 minutes after giving my credit card, and it was a scam. So that was a drawback, and nothing good came out of that except for it taught me a lesson not to shop via social media unless it's on Amazon.
Yes, or that you do that research before you buy. You want to know, make sure that company is got a legit website and that the name and the email and stuff matches, because I've gotten caught.
Yes. So if it's too good to be true, it's probably not a
Yes.
it's probably not a real company.
All right. Are you done with your last word?
Yes, thank you so much. See you guys again soon.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Debbie, your last word on the topic social media, conveniences and conveniences.
Thank you, Nee. I will say we learn a lot from the social media. It has come to stay. It's part of us. We should take the good of it, which means you use it wisely. And as Ambassador Lisa said, we take the good out of it and document and keep. And the negative aspect of it is, for me, is watching television. Sometimes I get frustrated. I watch television and advertisement comes about Dr. Pepper and all those Coca-Cola things that we all know is unhealthy. And I know people who could not go for a single day without drinking it. And then they end up saying, oh, I have sugar problem, and realizing they are addicted, but they cannot wean themselves off it. So what do? We just have to stick around with one another and help them realize the health implications on taking things that are unhealthy for you. Thanks to social media, we're learning on a regular basis, because like those who smoke, you have the ad out there that the Surgeon General advises you to stay away from smoking. So you smoke at your own risk. That's the social media of today. So
yes.
Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Have a good week, Ambassador Lisa. Oh, before we go, next week, before I call on Ambassador Lisa to give her last word, the topic for next week, we're not going chronologically in the STEW acronym. We'll be going to the last one, water, next week. So we'll be able to talk about water, especially emphasize the need for people to help Africa Online build those boreholes on the continent of Africa, Operation Borehole 55. So we'll be talking water next week. So Ambassador Lisa, your last word.
Thank you, Nia-san. So this has been a wonderful conversation about the good, the bad, and the ugly of social media. As I said, it's only a 27-year-old kid, barely got its frontal brain working, yet it has taken control and taken over most of our lives. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Don't run with everything that you see. Slow down, do your investigation so that you don't get caught up in a social media nightmare, get caught up on the dark web. We didn't even talk about the dark web, but there are other aspects of social media that we don't even know about that others do. So just be mindful. And while we're at it, as Nia-san has already mentioned, our topic for next week, we want to remind you that we are here every Sunday from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can join us live, you can join us on Facebook, and when we're not live, you can watch our recordings to catch up with what we're talking about that benefits us here in the diaspora and those of us on the continent. Thank you so much. Happy December. Thank you, Nia-san.
Thank you very much. And if you can put the anthem, then we'll close on that. Thank you very much, and have a pleasant week.
Oh, actually, I'm not going to be able to share because I don't have sharing
Okay.
rights. So we don't have an
All
anthem
right.
for this week, but we see you next Sunday.
Sure. Thank you. Bye.